Hi all, so something a bit different today. I'm cooking at home. I'm going to cook a Lancashire hotpot, a very old British classic dish using a really humble ingredient that I love. This is lamb neck fillet. So these are a really beautiful cut of meat to use. There is some cutlet of lamb in there as well. Potatoes, garlic, all the herbs that go with it, a nice selection of vegetables and onions that play a really big part in this as well. So the first job is to cut this lamb neck into sizable chunks. This is a beautiful piece of the lamb. It's from the very top end of the lamb. It doesn't pan fry. It does need long, slow cooking, but not braising as much as a sort of an ox cheek or an ox tail or something. It's only really an hour's braise. It's so full of flavour because it does so much work. Then the next thing we're going to do is cut this rack of lamb into beautiful cutlets. There's a very sort of different way of using these. And the next thing we're going to do is get these into a pan, colour them and seal them on both sides. So just season that meat really nicely. One side's fine now. Get that in the pan. What you'll notice is that we're going to use the same pan all the way through this to keep it really consistent, and also you're building up layers of flavour in that pan as well, which is really nice. So in goes the lamb neck. We're just sealing it, we're not cooking it all the way through, we're just browning it because that browning is going to add tons of flavour to our hot pot. And you want to cut nice thin sliced onions like this, which will cook down into what we call a lyonnaise. So we've got all that beautiful sealed off meat now, and then into the pan goes the onion. A little mix, and that will lift up all the sediment of that lamb off the pan. A nice bit of fresh thyme, because thyme and lamb and potatoes and onions is an absolute king. And that's just going to work through and turn into a really lovely lyonnaise. I'm going to stop that with a little bit of vinegar as well, just to give another layer of flavour that's going to cut through our lamb beautifully. Rosie, can you get me some bay leaves from the garden, please? It's going to help bring some acidity to the whole dish, bring a bit of sweetness, which is going to counteract the lamb and make that utterly delicious. They're going to come out now and we're going to hold those for later. In goes those lovely cut vegetables. We're just going to sweat those now. We don't want colour. I will add that I would normally use butter at this point, but Rosie's lactose intolerant, so we're going to stick to the olive oil, use the salt to let that bleed out and keep it sweated down. I'm actually going to pop a lid on as well. Nice sliced potatoes. You want them sort of a couple of millimetres thick. I'm using little red searing potatoes because they crisp up really nicely. They've got a lovely golden finish to them. And when you plenty of potatoes for it, it's a British hot pot after all. Perfect for these slightly colder winter months that are on the horizon. Okay, so there's that veg, nice and soft now, all cooked, just softening, no colour, really important. That's coming out into a bowl. We're going to hold on to that. Now it's just an assembly job. I've got all this now to a beautiful place where we've got our fantastic soft onions, sweet, got our sliced potatoes, we've got our sweated vegetables that are going to go in there, and we've got all our meat that's been seared off, completely raw but seared off, and we're going to now build this in our pot, the same pot we started with. So we're going to start with those lovely lyonnaise onions. They're going in first. I'll take the thyme out, it's done its job. So they go across the bottom first. Into that now goes a layer of our lovely neck, sealed neck pieces. Remember, this is going to get about an hour and 45 to 2 hours cooking at a low temperature. So actually what's really interesting is when you're cooking it, you're looking for all that fat to render in the meat and then come up over the potatoes at the top. Right, now in goes all those lovely sweaty vegetables. Don't like that one. Goes in, spread that out beautifully. And because we've seasoned all these layers already, we don't need to add more seasoning at this stage. So that goes in. I'm going to add some stock now. That's really nice. I'll pop the stock in there. And then it's really in with the potatoes. We're going to put a layer now first, and then we're going to do something a bit interesting with it. Don't have to be too finicky, but I would like them ideally to be quite even. If you overlay them too much, they just won't cook so evenly. So in they go all the way around. In goes those cutlets. This is very odd because you never really see a cutlet of lamb that's been braised like this or cooked for a long time. So it is a bit different, but the texture of this lamb at the end when it's braised like that, I love it. I think it's beautiful, and it donates so much flavour and fat, and it's just delicious. So what we've got to do is make sure that these potatoes are also seasoned as they go in, because they're very neutral. So season those potatoes, and then we're going to cook it low and slow so that all the fat from the lamb renders and comes up over the potatoes and ends up colouring them and making them really beautiful, juicy and glazed. Like I said, I would be adding lovely knobs of butter to this now, but Rosie can't eat butter. So we're going to have loads of olive oil on there, let that really crisp up. We're going to season those potatoes really nicely on top too. Lovely Malton sea salt, black pepper on there. I'm going to reuse that lovely piece of thyme in there as well, impart some flavour. We're going to put some bay leaves in as well. And you see how these lovely racks of lamb are sticking out as well. Super beautiful. That's going to spend an hour and 45 minutes in a 180 degree oven, and it should be absolutely gorgeous.